What if I told you that speed is the wrong thing to chase? Not in school, not at work, and especially not now, in the age of AI. For years, you've heard the same thing, over and over. Speed wins. Be faster. Answer quicker. Keep up or get left behind. And now machines think in a fraction of a second, so the pressure feels obvious. Race them or lose. You feel it every time you pause and worry you're already behind. But the greatest minds in history tell a completely different story. Leonardo da Vinci left some of his finest work unfinished for years because he refused to rush it. Albert Einstein was known for sitting with a single problem far longer than he ever spent solving it. And Garry Kasparov, the chess champion who lost to a supercomputer, spent the rest of his life arguing that the machine never had the one thing that actually mattered. So what gave these minds their edge? Not faster thinking, slower thinking. The quiet pause between the question and the answer that is where their best ideas were born. Today, I'll show you why thinking slowly beats AI's speed, how the greatest minds use slowness on purpose, and 6 ways you can start using it too long before anyone gave it a name or called it a skill. Let's start with the pause itself. Most people believe the whole goal is to reach the answer faster. The opposite is true. The answer is not where thinking happens. The pause right before it is. There's a quiet process behind this, and scientists call it incubation. In plain words, when you stop forcing an answer, your brain keeps working on the problem in the background, and the idea shows up later, often when you least expect it, in the shower, on a walk, half asleep. Da Vinci understood this without ever having a name for it. He would leave a painting half finished and walk away from it, sometimes for months, letting the problem breathe on its own. To everyone around him, it looked like laziness or delay. To him, that waiting was the work. So hear this clearly. A blank pause is not wasted time. It's your brain doing its real job, just where you can't see it. Here's the habit you can steal today. The next time you hit a hard question, don't reach for your phone and don't ask AI right away. Sit with it for 60 seconds first. Let it feel uncomfortable. That silence is not nothing, that's thinking. And it leads straight into the next idea, because a slow mind doesn't only find better answers, it sees more of the board. Speed finds the next move. Slowness finds the whole game. Most people lock their eyes on the step right in front of them and completely miss where it leads. This is something called systems thinking, seeing how all the pieces connect instead of staring at the one you happen to be touching. Picture Garry Kasparov sitting across from Deep Blue. The machine calculated millions of moves every single second. Kasparov could never outcalculate a machine like that, and here is what he came to realize he never needed to. His real edge was never raw speed. It was reading the shape of the entire board, slowly, the way no machine ever could. So listen, because this matters for you too. Losing the speed race is not losing. It quietly frees you to play a completely different game. The habit here is simple. Before any big decision, ask yourself one slow question, 3 times in a row. And then what? Follow that move downstream. See where it actually ends up. But seeing the board is one thing. There's something slow minds do that matters even more than that they truly understand. An instant answer always feels like progress. Most of the time, it isn't. A borrowed answer fades by morning. Real understanding stays with you for life. Scientists call this the generation effect. In plain words, you understand and remember far more when you work an idea out yourself than when someone simply hands it to you, finished and wrapped. Richard Feynman built his entire genius on this one habit. He would take a hard, tangled idea and explain it in the simplest words he could find, slowly, patiently, until a child could follow along. And if he couldn't explain it simply, he knew the hard truth: he didn't really understand it yet. Here's the part almost everyone misses. Being handed, the answer can leave you knowing less than you did before you asked. So try this yourself. After AI gives you an answer, close the tab. Then explain that answer out loud, in your own words, as if to a friend. The places where you stumble and go quiet, that is exactly what you never understood. Slowing down to teach it back to yourself is how the knowledge finally becomes yours. If this is already shifting how you see your own mind, take 1 second to subscribe because the next 3 reasons go deeper, and the very last one changes the whole game. Now, here's something almost everyone gets completely backwards. People rush toward the answer and skip right past the question. But AI only ever gives you back the quality of what you ask it. A shallow question gets you a shallow answer, fast. A sharp question is the thing that changes everything, and sharp questions are slow to build. This is called framing. How you shape the question quietly decides the entire answer. Einstein was famous for exactly this. He would sit with a problem far longer than he spent solving it, convinced that defining the question correctly was most of the real work. Sit with that for a moment. The slowest part of thinking getting the question right is the part that decides everything that comes after it. So before you ask AI anything that truly matters, spend 2 minutes rewriting your question. Make it sharper, clearer, then ask. You will be amazed how much the answer improves the moment the question does. And the best questions never arrive instantly. They grow slowly, the same way the biggest ideas always have. Big ideas feel like sudden flashes of lightning. They almost never are. They're small ideas slowly bumping into each other over months and sometimes years. There's a name for this too, the slow hunch. An insight often sits half-formed in your mind for a long time, until one day another piece finally clicks it into place. Charles Darwin is the clearest proof of this. He carried the idea of evolution for over 20 years. He turned it over, he tested his own doubts, he gathered evidence, and he waited. The single flash of genius the world loves to remember was actually 2 full decades of patient, slow thinking. Rushing an idea to the finish line can quietly kill it before it's ready. So keep one notebook of unfinished thoughts, half questions, loose ideas, things you can't quite explain yet. Open it once a month. Let your old ideas find each other on the page. That quiet collision is where real originality is born. And this brings us to the last reason, the one that changes everything. Everyone believes you have to get faster to compete with AI. That belief is exactly backwards. Think about it for a second. When machines make everything instant, every answer, every draft, every summary, in seconds, what suddenly becomes rare? It isn't speed. Speed is free now. It's everywhere, in every pocket. The rare thing, the one thing a machine simply cannot copy, is a human being who stops, sits still, and thinks deeply. There's a simple truth behind this, and it's called scarcity. When something becomes everywhere and free, its opposite quietly becomes precious. Speed just became free, so depth became gold. Remember Kasparov, the man who lost to the machine? He spent the rest of his life making one stubborn point. Human judgment, the slow and patient kind, is the one thing the machine never actually had. And here is what I really want you to hear. Your slowness was never the weakness someone told you to fix. It is the single edge a machine can never take away from you. So protect it like it's valuable, because it is. Each day guard one slow hour. No screen, no AI, no input, just you and one real question. Here's the truth. In a world racing to be faster, the rarest mind is the one that chooses to slow down. AI will win every race for raw speed, so let it. That was never your game to begin with. The greatest minds were never the quickest in the room. They were the ones who sat longest with a question, who let their ideas breathe, who chose depth while everyone around them chose speed. And that choice is still yours to make, today and every day after. If this changed how you see the race against AI, share it with someone who still believes faster always wins. And subscribe for more on how great minds actually think.